I have a confession.
Tell me.
So I saw on TikTok this young man making popsicles. We call them paletas with mango. Did you see this one?
Yes,
And
I did. I saw yours.
chamoy and tahine. And then he pulled out this spicy tamarind flavor Smirnoff vodka. Now, the last time I have had imbibed in any flavored vodka was raspberry Smirnoff vodka in college when we bought the Costco version and drank the whole thing until we barfed everywhere. So I'm not a huge fan of the flavored vodkas. Okay. So, but I went to the store. I found the spicy tamarind. I bought it and I kid you not, I would like to have a spicy tamarind paloma every day. And at like lunchtime yesterday, I was drinking the grapefruit, like LaCroix, whatever, with a little bit of lime. And I was like, you know, this is missing some fucking vodka. And then
The
I
question
made
is,
what?
the
What's
question is, can you find that same flavor palette without the vodka?
No, probably, but
Okay.
no. So then I made popsicles too. And the popsicles, I had the first one last night, and it is just as delicious as you could think. So I will also be making a virgin variation as well. But if you have been thinking about, if you like spicy stuff, and even if you don't like vodka, if you like spicy stuff, you should get the Smirnoff spicy tamarind and just like put it in everything and live your best life. Okay, thanks, bye.
She's like, just start day drinking like I do, because that's what solopreneurs do. We day drink.
I mean, no, well, I do drink LaCroix out of a wine glass because it makes me feel special. Not wine,
Well,
just the wine glass.
there you go. She feels
It just makes
this
me
is
feel better.
adulting.
This is.
Adulting.
I mean, that and like having popcorn for dinner. And like maybe this afternoon I'll go make myself another paloma.
Well, we all know what the next conversation is going to be when I see you next. I'm like, so how much of a drunk have you become? And you're like,
I
all of it.
know. All of it. It's just so goddamn it's good. I like it too much and that scares me.
That's okay. I mean, we just talked about my love of hot dogs. So
I know.
this is a very
Next, I'll
food
be like,
edition.
and now I'm baking with vodka, and I have made vodka ice cubes, and I don't think that's possible, but I could try.
No, it doesn't freeze, right?
No, that's why those
But
paletas are so good.
they're
Spicy.
soft and delicious. All right. Well, I'm
It's like a
excited because,
granita.
and you can see her TikTok because I watched that TikTok where she made the beverage, not the popsicles. But I watched the beverage.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to drunk, how drunk do you think I was when I made that reel?
I don't know,
I
but you
put it
did
up.
not seem 100. You didn't seem 100%. Like you were having trouble, like pouring.
Okay, making the video, I was like, we're fine because we haven't had it. But posting the video, I was definitely feeling all that vodka. And then I had posting remorse. And I was just like, I mean, this is like so off brand. I don't know. I should
Who
take it
cares?
down. And then I go and look and it had so many views and like comments and shit. And I was like, oh, we're leaving it up. This is part
People
of
love
it now.
alcohol. People love alcohol. They're into it.
Yeah.
They're into it.
Yeah.
So. All right, guys, let's get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses. Running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're just figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out, clearly. But we promise you everything we know about what it takes to make 6 figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks. So let's get started.
Welcome back, my friend, to Skinfessional. On today's show, we're talking about productivity guilt and I guess day drinking while watching memes.
Yes.
I think that's really what we're going to talk about.
I think that's part of it. We're also talking about the difference between being productive and being busy, because apparently they ain't the same. No.
Unless, I mean, we brought this up in the last episode. And then I actually looked at this Instagram post. I didn't realize it was slides. And I'm offended. So tell us more about this post.
So
and this
what
idea.
I felt, so I felt so seen with this post when I saw it. Essentially, it was a post that's like, hello, Sybil. So you've been saying for the last like year or two that you just are, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting and spinning your wheels, but like you're still busy all the time and you never stop working. I see you. You have productivity guilt. And these are all the things that are inherent with productivity guilt, which is if you don't feel like you're busy, you feel bad about yourself essentially.
Yeah, like if you're not working hard and achieving your
Mhm.
goals or doing something to benefit your career, like
Your
you're a piece of
career.
garbage.
Yep. Yep.
Or that you didn't do
And
anything.
yeah, and even when you make the decision, you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go like work out or I'm gonna do this other thing. The whole time you're thinking, well, I'm only doing this because I need a break from the productivity that I'm doing. But are you actually being productive because you're not actually resting? You're not actually taking that break. You're still obsessing and your mind is still working and running on the other things that you should be doing, could be
Yeah.
doing
I
with
mean,
your time.
I feel that so much because like on the days where I do like my workouts, I might not get to the computer until like 12:30, 12 o'clock, sometimes 1 o'clock. And then I was like, oh my God, I
Mhm.
wasted the whole day. When already in that day, I have answered emails, I might have packed some orders, I made
Right.
content. Like I've been doing a bunch of shit, but it's not the traditional shit, right? Of like more admin computery things. And therefore it doesn't count. And I'm lazy. And this is why I'll never be successful.
Right.
So,
This is why I'm going to fail. I'm failing at life and I'm worthless and useless and stupid. Like this is all of the stuff that goes through your head. Maybe you've sat around thinking these things too. That's okay. We see you. You're not alone.
yeah.
The hard episode that this is.
I know. There's also like the differentiation between like busyness and productivity.
Yes.
And this idea like being productive is fueled by purpose. That like when you are working in your purpose, right? That you are actually doing something. And that
Yeah.
may not be, again, like this traditional idea of your job. It may not be your hand on a client or whatever, but it still has value. And I know I definitely like just reading that makes me think of when I'm like launching a new product and I get very busy because I'm moving towards the end line, right? There's a very clear goal of we get
Yeah.
this product out and we get the first sale. And then I'm busy, 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 gotta work because I set a deadline on myself. And like I thrive on that because that finish line then allows me to feel like, okay, well, I've been successful because I did what I set out to do,
Right.
right? I finished that task. But where we really get into trouble and we're like spinning our wheels on the hamster wheel, and when I say we, I mean me, is when it's not just that one off, right? Like I haven't launched a product in a long time because I'm like, stop launching products, focus. Um,
Mhm.
what is success?
Exactly. Exactly what is success. And let's take a look at for a second what happens when maybe you have success, but you can't experience that because you have this productivity guilt. So, one of the things that Alex brought up that I thought was so incredibly true is I was like, so one of the things that happens is that we, in our industry especially, we are like, well, I can't wait till I have enough clients that I can work less days. So I my goal is to raise my prices so that I can work, 4 days a week, 5-hour days. This is like apparently the goal. 4 days a week, 5-hour days. And then you do it, you accomplish this goal, but you sit around being like, I don't have any clients in my book. My book is empty. And you start freaking out. You are
It's
still
literally me.
making money. Yeah, you're still
Yeah.
making money. In fact, you're
Yep.
doing well, but you have all this free time. So now you're like, I'm not being productive.
I
I'm a
must be doing it
loser.
wrong.
Yep.
Hmm.
And you also have this fear that like all of it will be taken away. At any moment it can just be taken away from you. And it's what it's actually being taken away. Because your clients are still coming in, they've been coming in, they're at that price. Nothing has changed except your ability to do less work.
Hmm. Hmm.
I know. It's so stressful. Oh my God. It's so stressful. It's so stressful. It's so stressful.
Well, I mean, I feel like traditionally society is, like the successful people, or like not even successful people, but like it is praised when somebody works so much that they
Yes.
like don't have time.
Right. Or they're
Like even like
exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite lawyers was like, "Oh yeah, when I worked in this courthouse downtown, like there was only one restaurant open in downtown at night, El Pollo Loco. I ate there so many times because I was working past midnight and wasn't home to have
Hmm.
dinner with my family." And I'm just like, "Okay, but like how is that good?" And I
Right.
think, for everyone, of course, like values are different. You can define it differently, blah, 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 blah. Um, but and I'm like, can't take credit for this. I know I've heard it somewhere else, but like, are you working to live or like living to work? Because they're not the
Yeah.
same thing.
Right. And you also have, on top of that, you have this idea that we have like this like hero worship of people who do work all the time. They're just like,
Mhm.
and we make excuses for those people too. Well, they're really late because they work all the time, or they couldn't come because they work all the time, or like whatever. They work a lot. They must be a better person than me because of how much they have like 6 jobs. They are always hustling. They're always hustling. Like, think about the things you say and the words that you use and the things that you hear. It's like this badge of honor. Nobody's like, yeah, they sit around and like next to a pool and just make money and do nothing. You're like,
Mhm.
I mean, that's the dream, right? That's what we all sit around and be like, oh, I can't wait to have a passive income and I'm going to do
Yeah.
nothing and I'm just going to have the money. And then at the same time, are you enjoying it? Because can you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
there's so many like layers to that too, because I think sort of like this like girl boss mentality is
Yeah.
definitely toxic. And like just so many problems, but also the flip side of just like working constantly, like that also doesn't work. But I think being able to define for yourself like what success looks like so that you can be able to say, cool, I've achieved that, I'm done.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
one of the ways
This
to
is the
overcome
stop point.
productivity is to overcome productivity guilt is to set realistic goals for your day. So, right, how I do that, you guys know I love writing stuff down. I have a planner, I write it all out. And then instead of writing 6 things to do in a day, I'm like, you know what, realistically, I could do 2 or 3. And like, we'll just call that a day.
Hmm.
Then the work happens in allowing that to be enough.
Yes.
It's not easy.
And not letting
I'm
it
still
bleed
figuring it out.
over, and which, I mean,
No.
as soon as I read that, I was like, I literally watched the last 2 years of my life kind of like spiral out. And I was like, this is everything. This is everything I believe. This is everything I see. This is who I am. And I understand it. So I haven't really talked about it, I think, here much, but my friend Lori owns a bookstore. And one of the things I told her was like, I've been really unsuccessful this year and I feel like a loser about it. And I feel bad about my life and what I'm doing with it. And, and I was like, I only made like $89,000 this year and I just feel like a super loser. And she's like, wait, hold up. Did you say you made
Mm-hmm.
$89,000 this year? I'm like, yeah. And I feel like really crappy about it. I mean, I had a big loss as well. So, I didn't, that's not really my income, but like, that's what I brought in. And she was like, didn't you work 2 days a month? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I was
yeah.
gonna say.
I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh my God, Sybil, why are you complaining? Well, you're living the dream. And I was like, I'm not living the dream, whatever that dream is. But I literally like took a hard stop and I was like, if somebody else was telling me this, once again, we had an episode just recently where you listen
Mm-hmm.
to what would you tell someone else, listen to your own advice. I'm like, if somebody else told me that, I'm like, girlfriend, you're amazing. You worked like how many days and you made how much money? Let's divide that. Let's do the numbers on that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't constantly productive and I wasn't like meeting goals that I had set for myself, and like that's like I felt like a waste of life and space.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also talked to before we started recording about like how does it make you feel to be with clients versus the time in between where
Yeah.
you're just like busying yourself? Like, what's that difference like?
Right. So I really love being in the pandemic. You might have experienced this as well, listeners, when you couldn't work on people. We always talk about how we can't wait to like not work and we're just going to get out from working. It's going to be great. But I found that actually working on clients fulfilled me. It allows me to downregulate my nervous system. It allows me to talk to people. It gives me like an outlet for my creativity. Like I had all these things that I did not realize were actually those things that make me feel have purpose and give me productivity instead of just making me feel busy.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And I
yes,
think,
I'm busy at work, but I'm not just busy, I'm productive.
yeah. And I feel like, dismantling and like unknotting yourself from productivity guilt, there's like this awkward in between where you are, channeling the energy in different ways, but maybe still feeling bad about it. I feel like that's
Yeah.
exactly where I'm at. But is there something that you, Sybil, have or could do that allows you to feel that same sense of accomplishment that you feel when you're working with clients that isn't working with clients?
Well, since we started talking about this, I've been kind of like thinking about this. And I also thought about, so Alex brought up the idea that, many of the things that we do that we think are restful are actually just numbing out. It's actually not
Mm-hmm.
restful at all. And we'll get to that in a second. But I
Like
was like,
Smirnoff
okay,
is
so
not restful. It's numbing. I
yeah.
know.
So if there's a bunch of stuff that you do that's just numbing out, like doom scrolling on TikTok, or
Mhm.
pretending that watching TV is relaxing to you or whatever. But I thought about it for me, and I'm like, actually, I mean, cleaning for sure has nothing to do with clients. I mean, I do clean people, but cleaning my house really helps me feel like relaxed, and it helps me feel
Mhm.
control of the situation.
Mhm.
And I think for me, relaxing, and maybe for everybody actually who has this particular condition, if you think about the things that make you feel comfortable and relaxed, they have an element to do with you control something, it has an end
Mhm.
spot, and you know exactly how to accomplish it.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
there's like
because
less
the other thing is
variables.
meditation for me is the same. I like meditation a lot, where you just like, I'm sitting down, and I don't like meditate where I'm like, but like I sit down and I like allow my thoughts to just drift while I stare at something.
Mhm. Yeah. One of the things in the last time I've talked about this before, over Christmas break, I took time off and I still
Hmm.
made like more money in the month of December working 2 weeks than I did in like July of last year and
Hmm.
like many other months of the year. And so I was like, oh, great. I don't have to actually work at my computer every day to make money, which feels more of like the traditional sense of like work, which is just
Hmm.
busyness. It's not actually being productive. And so over the last, gosh, we're in May almost, so like 5 months, taking a day off each week to do creative, fun stuff that I like to do, which also
Hmm.
sometimes is going to the dermatologist, like totally fine. Also, like finding hobbies that fulfill me and give me that, like, just like endorphin boost that
Hmm.
work isn't able to provide. To try to get that rush from work is like being on the hamster wheel, super late days. Like, it's never going to
Right.
happen from work. It's a black hole you're never going to solve.
Right.
So cleaning too for me, like detailing cars, like, oh my, there's nothing more satisfying than seeing that to the end. And then every like day for the next day, right? You walk up to your car and you're like, damn, it's so shiny. Like, I love that. I love that so much. Painting my nails. I love it. I love it so much.
Mhm.
But making sure that you also have baked into your regular practice, just as normal as if you are brushing your teeth, washing your face, showering, other practices that help you to really like discharge that like frenetic energy from
Yeah.
your nervous system.
Yeah.
So, what might that look like? Meditation, as you mentioned. Um, Massage also, which works on a mechanical level, like on a
Yep.
physiological level. When you have touch in any capacity, helps to down regulate the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right?
Hmm.
Our sympathetic nervous response, and up regulate our down regulation response, which is your relaxation. Okay. So they're on a continuum. They're always, it's going to be one or the other to some, varying degree. And life and work and technology and existing as a human are going to up regulate you, period. There's no
Yes.
ifs, ands, or
Period.
buts about it. Things
Yes.
that will down regulate you, again, massage, touch, deep breathing, sounds as well. So
Yeah.
screaming into your pillow, you have my permission. Physiologically, it is helping you to downregulate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Singing, chanting, oming, humming,
Dancing.
any sort
Dancing.
of, yeah, moving your body, whether that's
Yep.
exercise in a more formal way or it's literally just like pulling up a video on YouTube and doing that dance or just putting on some music and doing a dance. I also like getting outside. And here's like,
Yeah.
if you're still kind of like, well, I'm not sure about this differentiation between numbing out and like resting and like recharging.
Mm-hmm.
I take my dog out on a walk like 5 times a day every day. I can go on a walk and listen to a book, and that is somewhat numbing out, which is not the same as going on a walk and just being on the walk,
Right. Like noticing your
right? Where my
surroundings, paying attention to the
Mhm,
air, because
mhm.
when you're trying to do two things, your brain is not resting because it's already
No.
doing so much. Your brain does so many things already.
And whether that's like, an audiobook for fun, or you're trying to like listen to an audiobook on like money or business. Like I can't tell you how
Right.
many fucking business podcasts I've listened to. And at some point you just have to like not.
Right.
Right? Just not. Um, and if, sitting in meditation isn't your thing, fine. There's a bunch of other ways to get to that same end goal. That's one of the reasons too why I like, you know, tactile things.
Yeah.
Even as I'm talking to you right now, I'm fidgeting with a ball that has texture, which is helping
I
to
have a
down
fan
regulate my
brush.
nervous system. Sybil has a brush.
I have a
Yeah,
brush
like
that I've been touching my face with. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So
we
these are the
are
things.
mammals. We are creatures. We are social creatures, socializing, calling up a friend, hanging out with a friend, FaceTiming.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much because of the digital piece, but like all of that matters too.
Right.
And if you are like, again, there's not someone else who can touch you. To be honest, like I prefer rolling on balls and touching myself because I have
Mm-hmm.
more control. Whatever it is, but just in one of the ways out of this productivity hellhole is finding ways to get your fulfillment not from work,
Mm-hmm.
and then making sure that you are pouring into your cup, not by way of Netflix and Real Housewives.
Totally. That's totally
No
correct.
judgment.
So making sure that you're doing all of those things, finding that zone, all of that stuff, so vital and important. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Also,
think
focusing on progress, not perfection, which I just want to like roll my eyes at. I mean, it's true. I haven't figured that out. Have you?
no, I
Focusing
have
on
not.
progress, not perfection. Like I don't have it figured out, of course, but this is where, setting realistic goals for your day and then allowing them to be okay. And as a
Yeah,
perfectionist, right, that's going to be really super hard, but it happens like one decision at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. It is definitely um, a journey. It's a
I
marathon,
would,
not a sprint.
yeah, I would definitely say it's a marathon. You took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna be like, I would say it's like a marathon because you actually have to force yourself to do it. You have to force yourself
Yeah.
to make those choices, stick with those choices, and then just keep going.
Yeah. Because you're also working, just not against your physiology, but like our brains are wired for this because this is how we were socialized. This is the society we have been raised in. This is like the way we have allowed ourselves to feel for
Mm,
so long. This is unlearning a habit just as much as, snapping gum or cracking your knuckles or something
yeah,
is. And of course you could say like, okay, fine, that's a habit I have and I'm not interested in changing it, and that's totally your prerogative, of course. But I can tell you, like, I was unhappy, right? I'm just
yeah.
tired, my schedule is packed, I feel like I'm running my wheels and getting
Tired.
nowhere.
Right, you're
Mm-hmm.
tired. So even if you think you're not unhappy, if you're tired, if you're exhausted, if you're like burnt out, you
Mm-hmm.
might be very well falling into this productivity guilt land. And so
Yeah.
think about it. And you might have like as soon as we talked about it, be like, no, they see me so hard. I know that I did. I know that when I posted this on Instagram, I reposted it. A ton of people
Offended.
DM'd me. The most DMs I've had in a long time about anything. So you are not alone out there. Take a first step, make a decision to do one thing that's going to help this productivity guilt. I actually printed out the page that tells me the difference between busy and productive, and I like look at it and I'm like, okay, we're going to be productive today. And I notice that I'm being busy, I just stop. And I go do something
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be productive.
All the
Because
busyness in the world is not going to prove to the people who aren't paying attention
no,
that you are worthy.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys. This has been a very tense and dense episode, and I hope that it finds you well when you finish listening to it.
Yes. And we want to hear too from you of how you are navigating productivity guilt. Are you feeling like, oh shit, I didn't even know this was a thing until right now? And like, oh my God. Are
Yeah.
you also on this journey of like unpacking it with us? Are you here to celebrate the 4-day work weeks or maybe even just like the 6-day work weeks? Like, I would be cool with that for you.
I was
Okay.
about to
Just
say, we know you run a business probably, and we all real understand that like you probably actually work 7 days a week, even if you're not in office 7 days a week. So can you
yeah.
actually find a day where you get to turn off?
I will say in reading some of my erotic literature. Laying in bed and just reading a book for like a weekend. Like I did that the last book I read, and I was like, this is fucking delightful.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time, 30, 40 years, in fact, to get to a place where I could do that and not feel guilty that I wasn't being busy. So
So,
there's no rush. Your journey is your own. I just like, even from the middle of it, like it's worth it, y'all. So definitely like give yourself that gift and let us
run your
know
own
how it
marathon and then try to like do a walk jog and then just walk and then just sit down.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
have a
just
snack.
sit down. That's it. That's good.
Uh, so hit us up. Tell us how you're navigating this. You can find us on Instagram. The show is at Skinfessional. Sybil is at Skin Fitness Expert. I am at Hala Formala. You can also email us at skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. That's skinfessional like this show, POD, like podcast at gmail.com. And then what about if you want to leave a voicemail because you're cool and you like to talk to
Yeah, if you want to
people?
be cool and old school and Gen Zer with me, Skinfessional has a voicemail box. The number is 818-473-5277.
All right.
Everyone, until next week,
Keep your secrets to yourself.
unless you're telling us,
Okay, bye.
bye.